Before we start, I wanted to dedicate this part of the video to Tony Bloom. He's the reason Brighton can find a player you've probably never heard of and turn him into a £100 million superstar. Many people think Brighton are a mid-table team that Zerbi took to Europe. In reality, they're a championship team that Tony Bloom took to the Premier League. They became relegation candidates in the Premier League, but Tony Bloom and Graham Potter took them to mid-table. Graham Potter left Brighton for Chelsea, and Tony Bloom, with help from Zerbi, took them to Europe. So Bloom is responsible for a lot of the talent at Brighton. And without that talent, Zerbi wouldn't have been able to take Brighton to Europe. However, Zerbi has still done an incredible job. And probably a better job than a lot of people give him credit for. Because the most incredible part of his story is not his success, but how he achieved it. Zerbi's tactics have changed football, and they will change football forever. So let's take a look at how he revolutionized the game. To understand Brighton, we have to understand pressing. Let's say a team presses like this. They want Brighton to force a pass into their midfield, so they can pounce. However, you can see that Brighton's number 8 is ahead of the player marking him, and their midfielders have trained to get out of the situation. So what if the player marking stays ahead of Brighton's midfielder? Well, that's actually what Zerbi wants. Brighton use something called a third-man combination, or a third-man pass. This is when you use a third player to make a certain pass. When a player marks someone, they can either be south side or north side. Being south side allows Brighton's players to keep the ball. If they're north side, they can use a third-man combination to get past. However, if the midfielders go north side, the third-man combination is open for the strikers to pass to the midfielders. And if the centre-backs are north side of the strikers, there's a chance for a ball over the top. When further up the pitch, they stay in their 4-2-4 and still use third-man combinations. If the midfielder is more aggressive, then the striker can drop deep into the space. Welbeck, Ferguson and Enciso are all comfortable at dropping deep. And if the strikers follow, then there's a ball over the top available for their fast wingers like Natoma and March. So why don't other managers do this? Well, the first reason is they actually do. And Zerbi has not only just shocked the Premier League, he's shocked the world and influenced the world of managers. Emery's Villa also uses third-man combinations. It can quickly get them into shape and score goals, and that's partly why they've been so successful. Manchester City have also moved to a double pivot just like Brighton, and they can also use third-man passes to get through pressure and create chances. Pep made these changes roughly halfway through the season, which is around the time that Zerbi started getting big wins. And we know this isn't a coincidence, because Pep Guardiola has said this about Zerbi.
Pretty convinced I'm right what I'm saying. Is one of the most influential managers in the last 20 years. It's unique. I couldn't expect to do it in this short of time. He created 20-25 chances on average a game. He monopolized the ball in a way like I've never been for a long time. They deserve completely the compliments.
He's effectively made his Brighton team unpressable, and we can show this in 2 results. When you think of Jurgen Klopp, you think of high pressing, and when you aggressively press Brighton, they punish you. Liverpool have overcommitted here, leaving 2 players free, who combined to win a penalty. Brighton won that game 3-0. When you think of sitting back and not pressing, you might think of Sean Dyche. And when Zerbi played Sean Dyche, Dyche actually won 5-1. Everton is sitting back right now, and they win the ball back looking to counter and score. Brighton can't use their special traps against Everton because they just don't press. So more managers are using these traps. And the best way to beat it is by not re-pressing. So don't be surprised if teams press less in the future. You might have noticed that Zerbi's Brighton aren't doing that well this season. Just look at Klopp's Dortmund. They were on top of the world, then Bayern stole their players, but more importantly, they stole their tactics. And then won the Bundesliga 11 times in a row. And the exact same thing is happening with Brighton. They've lost Caicedo, McAllister, and other important players, and also, teams are copying them. In my opinion, they wouldn't have won the treble if it wasn't for Zerbi's influence and ideas. Of course, Zerbi is the best at coaching his tactics, and apparently he is very good in training. So when you press against a Zerbi team, he can manipulate it and create chances. And it's so effective that he actually wants you to press against him, which is why Brighton players try to create triggers for the opposition to press them. For example, putting their foot on the ball. They do this to tempt people into pressing, so they can play through the press. This is called baiting the press. So in conclusion, Zerbi could get sacked tomorrow. He could manage in the Championship, or he could just retire. But it wouldn't change his influence on the game, because football has changed, and it's because of him. Thanks for watching this video. It took quite a while to make, so I hope you enjoyed it.